So earlier today, we just got some massive news from Dana White regarding the Saudi Arabia card, the second announced Saudi Arabia card. Of course, the first one was meant to happen earlier in the year, but they just didn't put on a good enough card, and Saudi Arabia is paying the UFC a lot of money to put on the event, so Saudi Arabia pretty much cancelled on them, and fair enough, because that card was not good. I actually can't remember what it was, but it was not a strong card whatsoever. This one is going to be stacked though. We've got a bunch of announcements, of course, the main event being Whittaker versus Chimaev, then we got Pavlovich versus Volkov, Walker versus Ustamir, Jaroputin Magomedov versus Pretoria, Gastelum versus Rodriguez. They were all announced today in this one massive Dana White announcement, and of course I'm going to talk about them all in this video. I probably will keep it relatively short as I am not feeling 100% at the moment. I had a couple exams back-to-back days, as well as an assignment, and to be fair, I haven't really slept much, so I'm feeling a little bit ill, and I do have a disc golf tournament this weekend, so hopefully I feel better tomorrow, because it's the first round. But hey, let's get into it. Robert Whittaker taking on Chimaev is the main event that Dana White did announce. I think Whittaker's going to be a popular pick, but I am going to pick Khamzat Chimaev to win this matchup. Now, do I think that Khamzat Chimaev can take down Robert Whittaker without much problems? Yes. Do I think he can do it for 25 minutes? No. I don't even know if Khamzat Chimaev could take down Whittaker with ease for 10 minutes. You know, he slowed down a lot against short notice Kamaru Usman. When he gassed out, you know, he kind of didn't really have much striking. He's a very powerful guy. We've seen him KO guys on the feet before, but it does seem like he needs to get the takedowns to find success in his matchups, and he's going to need to do that to Whittaker. Can he finish Whittaker in the first two rounds? I feel like that's what you're banking on in here, and I am going to say yes. Dricus du Plessis gave Whittaker a lot of problems. He won the first round against Whittaker, hurt him on the feet, and then KO'd him as well in the second round. I think he even took him down in that first round, and I'm pretty confident Chimaev is going to be able to take down Robert Whittaker in this matchup. I think that Chimaev, you know, I know he arguably had a very close fight with Kamaru Usman, he really did. Maybe he lost that second round, maybe he lost that third round, but he was still dominating Usman in round number one, and I do think that Usman, even at 185, even on short notice, is probably going to have pretty good takedown defense compared to Robert Whittaker. I am going to go Chimaev. I'm going to pick Chimaev here. Being a 5-round fight, that does kind of make it a pretty big deal because the cardio of Chimaev is just not there. It really isn't. But I think Chimaev is going to be able to beat Whittaker, and it seems like so far only 31 Tapology votes. Most people are on Whittaker. I understand that pick, I really do. You're kind of just banking on Whittaker being able to survive the first or maybe even the second round as well, and Chimaev gassing out. But I don't think that happens. Yeah, I mean, I do think Chimaev gets the finish. I do think that's possible. I can see it happening. I'm going to go Chimaev, though, to finish in the first two rounds. I know people love Whittaker. I know Whittaker's going to be the much better striker. But at the end of the day, we just saw DDP knock him out only 8 months ago as well. I mean, I do like Khamzat in the matchup. I love the fight, though. You know, I feel like if Khamzat wins, in fact, I think the winner of this fight is going to get the title shot. And word on the street is that Adesanya versus DDP is going to be lined up for this card in UFC 305 in Perth. And there's a chance I'm actually going to be attending that card. So maybe keep an eye out for me mentioning if I'm going to be there or not. I was at UFC 279, was it? I can't remember. It was maybe 289, UFC 289, I think. Sorry, guys, I'm really tired. I haven't slept much. Had a lot of exams. The next fight is the co-main event, Pavlovich versus Volkov. I love this fight, man. I am actually going to side with Pavlovich, though. I am a big believer in Pavlovich, even though I do like Volkov as a fighter. Volkov is going to be the more well-rounded fighter, for sure. He's going to be much taller than Pavlovich, which Pavlovich might struggle with, because on the feet, you know, Pavlovich is an aggressive guy that likes to use his length, likes to use his range, and just throw bombs from range that other people can't hit him in, because he's got an 84-inch reach, which is crazy. And Volkov's going to be a tall guy, you know, he's got an 80-inch reach in his own right. He's probably going to be able to hit Pavlovich from a range which Pavlovich hasn't really experienced, I guess, if that makes any sense. You know, he's going to be fighting another rangy guy, and he's used to having the range advantage. He's still got the longer reach, but Volkov's a long guy, you know, he's 6'7", he's going to be taller than Pavlovich. He's going to be slightly bigger, like, I mean, that doesn't really matter. He's going to be like 2 kilos heavier on the scale, so he's not really going to be much heavier. But I like Pavlovich, man. I think he's really good. I know he got KO'd by Tom Aspinall, but that's Tom Aspinall. You know, Tom Aspinall's really good. I did pick Pavlovich. No, did I? I think I did pick Pavlovich to win that fight. I know I picked Pavlovich to beat Blades, and that wasn't a popular pick at all, but I think I might have picked Pavlovich to beat Espinal, and I was wrong about that. But Espinal's a good fighter, of course. I think that Espinal probably has a very good chance of beating John Jones if they fought each other. But Volkov, man, Volkov's good. He just beat Taito Ivasa, was able to kind of get it done with the wrestling, which was quite cool. He beat Romanov, who fraud checked Romanov actually, he kind of exposed him, and then he beat Jairzinho Rosenstrike on the feet, which was quite impressive. But I think Pavlovich, he's just got that power, man. So what it comes down to, I think he does land on Volkov. Volkov's been finished before. I don't think he's been KO'd too many times. He's only been KO'd twice, but he's still been finished before. And I do think that he probably will get finished by Pavlovich. Hugfrust versus Gordon. Gordon was already announced. So let's move on to Walker versus Oostemir. I think Oostemir is really good. I think my opinion on Oostemir is probably a lot higher than everyone else, but I'm gonna pick Johnny Walker. I feel like Johnny Walker's the much smarter pick here. I think Johnny Walker's, even at this point, especially the more proven fighter to be at this level, if that makes any sense, because Oostemir's had a bad run recently. He lost to Prohaska in Prohaska's debut, and then he lost to Ankalaev, which is fine. 2 losses to good fighters. Beat Paul Craig, who is a middleweight now, I guess, but even then at the time it was a pretty good win. Lost to Krylov, who I think is future champion. I'm going to put that out there. I think Krylov can be a champion. I really do. And then he beat Guskov, but, he beat Guskov, who... It's hard to tell how good Guskov really is, and I'm starting to think he's not that great. Walker, on the other hand, though, has had a better run. He beat Anthony Smith, he beat Paul Craig himself, finished him, and beat Ion Kutalaba, which actually probably isn't that good of a win, but he was looking good against Ankalaev before it ended up being the no contest and all that. But I think Walker can beat Oostemir. Oostemir is a really good kickboxer, though, and I feel like he's actually underrated. I think people definitely underrate how good Volkan Oostemir really is, because, man, this guy's an absolute machine. Came into the UFC first-round finishes, 4 days. I thought he had a very fun fight against Krylov. He didn't win the fight, but I thought it was very fun. Pretty competitive as well. Walker, though, I think he's going to be able to fight from range. He's going to be probably the faster mover at this point in his career as well. We know Walker for being able to do a bunch of kind of crazy stuff like jumping knees, big KO power from range, can be tentative, can be chinny as well, which is what people worry about. And Oostemir does have big time power, and Oostemir is a very good fighter, but I am going to pick Walker at the moment. Honestly, I could really convince myself to pick Oostemir, though. I know a lot of people are going to be on Walker. I do think Oostemir is the real deal. I really do. I think he's a great fighter. And now we've got Shara Bullet or Shara Magomedov taking on Ihor Potieria. This is the UFC giving Sharaputin Magomedov a win, because they think that Sharaputin Magomedov can become a really big name and this big time middleweight prospect. I'm kind of almost thinking that maybe he's not going to be that super popular among most MMA fans, just because he does have kind of an odd history with punching people in BJJ tournaments and then punching people on the wall. And I know people kind of defend it with the culture, but why would you just punch someone in the mall like that? It doesn't really make much sense to me. But hey, I'm in New Zealand. I'm not in Dagestan or wherever it was that incident happened. The point is, I think Sharaputin Magomedov wins, though. I don't think Ihor Potieria is that good, and I am very, very disappointed in Robert Burchik for fighting like he did, because he looked terrible against Ihor Potieria. Absolutely terrible, man. I could not believe the performance that Burchik had against Potieria. I don't think Ihor Potieria is that good. He's not a technical striker whatsoever. He can't wrestle and grapple, and I know Bruno Silva was able to take down Magomedov, which is probably one of the biggest red flags we've ever seen, is Silva cannot grapple. Potieria cannot grapple, but I don't think he's going to be able to take down Sharaputin Magomedov. I think Magomedov is too good at striking. I think he's going to be able to finish Ihor Potieria on the feet here, because Potieria is not technical. He's been absolutely smoked in his UFC career as well. Like, I know he is beating Bellato, but then he got absolutely trolleyed by Bellato. Got absolutely smoked by Olberg. Got years taken off his life by Nagumarianu. I don't like this matchup for Potieria at all. I see this completely as the UFC giving Shara Magomedov a win. Striker versus striker. One of the strikers is actually quite technical and quite good at striking, and the other one has no technique whatsoever. I think Sharaputin Magomedov is going to be able to get it done in this matchup here. I think he gets a KO as well. And then the bottom one, Calvin Gastelum versus Daniel Rodriguez. Incredibly hard to pick. Incredibly hard to pick. I mean, on one hand, Calvin Gastelum looked slow at 170, and on the other hand, D-Rod looked really bad and lost to Neil Magny recently. I got lost to... How is my concept of time this far off? I really thought he lost to Magny more recently than he lost to Gary. Wow, that's interesting. I'm going to pick D-Rod to win because I don't think Calvin Gastelum is that good at 170. I picked Gastelum to beat Brady, by the way, and that's an embarrassing pick. It's an embarrassing pick, but if you look at Sean Brady, this guy cannot strike. And Gastelum looked slow. He looked terrible. He got dominated in the wrestling and grappling. And do I think that Daniel Rodriguez is going to try and wrestle and grapple like Brady did? No, definitely not. It's going to be a striking fight for the most part, unless Gastelum wants to initiate some wrestling because he started out his career as a grappler. I think D-Rod beats him up on the feet, though, man. I think Gastelum's too slow for 170. I feel like at this point, he's eaten just too much food. And now we just won't be able to make 170 super consistently without trouble because he was fine at 185 because he couldn't put the fridge away. And I understand that's pretty that's pretty sharp coming from me. But hey man, Calvin Gastelum's a professional athlete and I'm a university student doing engineering. But hey, Gastelum couldn't put the buffet down, man. He couldn't make 170, so he fought at 185. 5'9" as well. I mean, come on, man. Just come on. You fight at 185. What was he doing? D-Rod might even be bigger in this matchup. He's definitely the one that takes his career more seriously. I like D-Rod to win. I think D-Rod beats Gastelum. And I think it's going to be scrappy. I think it's going to be competitive, though. But yeah, I like D-Rod to win this one here. I like him to win by decision. And that's it for the card. This is a good card, by the way. In Saudi Arabia, I think we're probably going to get a few more local fighters. Like they might have... Muhammad Yahya on the card. Maybe they might even have some other fighters from that sort of area of Asia. They might have some fighters from Kazakhstan. I don't know what the political situation is between those countries. They actually might not for some reason. I don't know. They might have oh man, what's his name? Who's the guy that beat George Hardwick on the Contender Series? They might have him back. They might have Lok Radzhabov back. Abdul Karim Al Sawaidi, I'm thinking of. Anshul Jabli might come back for this card. I mean, I think it's going to be a good card, man. You know, they're going to put some good fighters on here. I think a lot of fighters from Asia will probably get added to the card just because it's geographically pretty close. I think even fighters that have visa problems with the USA will be on here too. I think there's quite a few fighters from China that have that issue, so you might see Zhang Mingyang here. I don't know. But Long Zhao as well has issues with his visa. They might have Long Zhao on this card. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm going to make some videos talking about who I think should be on the Contender Series this year, because it's coming up in August. So I'm going to give my, I guess, my scouting report or whatever of the fighters that I've created. A long list, man, of who I think is going to be the Contender Series. Probably weight class by weight class. And then I'm going to talk about the road to UFC, because word on the street is that women's strawweight is going to be added to that tournament. So that should be pretty fun as well. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.